Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we're taking out the Yak-3. It is a 4.3 fighter in the Russian tree. Fighter I'm actually fairly fond of. I haven't flown it in a while, but I do have quite a bit of time in the Yak-3 just because I think it's at a great BR, probably a little under-tiered for what it is, but you know, just all around great plane and fits sort of the current prop meta that we have of shorter fights at lower altitude. I mean, this is sort of the ideal plane that you would want for the current engagements that we have. You don't really want to take it too high. It's going to suffer even above 4 kilometers. You're really going to start seeing a performance drop off. It's not useless, but really at low altitudes is where this thing shines. Has great climb, great acceleration, great speed. Although you don't want to take this into a dive, you will rip your wings up at around the mid to upper 600 kilometers an hour range, which some planes that you can see, pretty much any plane that you're going to see is going to outdive you. So you just need to be mindful of the fact that you do not have the most sturdy airframe when it comes to high speed. However, in turns, it will not rip typically. I don't think I've ever ripped the Yak-3 from pulling too hard, and it does pull very hard at speed. So that is a nice thing to have. It also only has one 20mm in the nose and two, is it one 20mm, 12.7, sorry, it's been a while since I've flown the plane. Two 12.7 millimeters. Let's see, is P-63 going to dive on us? It does look like he is. I'm going to slot underneath him here, so he has to pull a little bit harder. I'm actually going to climb up after him here. Go through our guns there. We're going to look around. We're going to keep an eye on him. Look at that P-51, the 109. He looks like he's going to extend away, but I can probably... I'm going to lag pursuit him here, keeping an eye on that 109, because he will close here quickly. He's going to do what he really shouldn't do, and that's climb. He's not going to outclimb me at this altitude. There's another Yak-3 who thankfully whiffed every single shot, so you can watch me again whiff every single shot here. Oh, okay. There we go. I've been having some connection issues lately. Hopefully that comes through on the video so you can see what I'm working with here. I'm going to drop throttle here to stay on his 6. And there we go. We're going to pull off of him. Reset here. I see the 109 there. Sort of got fixated there a little bit. I do have a 47 coming. I'm going to sort of neg G just to throw him off and pull in, under. I'm going to drop throttle. He actually gets a hit. But at this point, if I can latch onto him, he's going to be in trouble here. He also has a teammate there. I see the P-51 diving. We're going to get some hits there. I'm going to pull off. Do you see the P-51 diving in our area here? So I'm going to force him to make a choice between me and that other Yak-3. He chooses the other Yak-3, so I'm going to slot onto his 6 here. Not the best aim. I have not flown props in some time, but I am on his 6, and that's what's important here. Lob some rounds his way just to keep him thinking. And our Yak-3 friend is going to go after the P-47 there. Look up at the 109 and just keep on following our P-51 here in this dive. He will likely outrun me at these altitudes, although the Yak-3 is fast. He will outrun me, but any sort of climb and maneuver he makes, right there, big mistake. I'm going to be able to close this gap now by just making a gradual turn. I think he's trying to get his 335 into the mix, but that's not really going to help him. All lobs around rounds his way there. We're going to miss those. He's going to outrun us here again in a second. We have our 225 friend here coming in to save the day. Really, really helpful. I'm going to climb a little bit, anticipating what this 335 is going to do here. I'm just going to keep climbing. I don't need to deal with that 335 at this second. but I can wait and make sure that P-51 is not going to try to slot onto our teammate's 6. He's going to push the head-on here with that VB. Actually doesn't even see him, but this is going to be a pretty easy kill for me here. You do have to be a little cautious with the amount of ammo you use in the Yak-3 because it will go quickly, especially if your aim is a little rusty like mine. P-51 loops back. He's going to slot on. He's going to push the head-on with the VB. That's probably, well, he actually manages to pull it off. I'm just going to go up and over his nose, drop throttle, pop the flaps just a little bit, and slot onto his 6 here. He's taking another head-on, but, you know, down he goes. We do have the 109 climbing off in the distance there. I'm not super worried about him. I can just, even if he dives straight to me, I should be okay. I should have the speed, although it does look like he's missing a wingtip or something. So I should be just fine. It doesn't look like there's any other fighters on their team, so it's sort of a cleanup now. And that's how a lot of these games are nowadays. You know, you kill the few fighters, and you're left with the remainder of their team, which is likely attackers and bombers. So if there's nothing exciting for the rest of the game, I will catch you guys in the next one. Alright, we do have a chance to get a few more kills in this game. We have a 335 taking off there, so I will go ahead and sort of showcase what this plane is not good at, and that is taking out bombers. And there you can see sort of the limitations on the dive. It does compress on the ailerons when you get to high speeds in a dive. Something to take note of. So it really is something that you can use against a Yak-3 that you're fighting against. If you do see one, I don't think this 335 sees me. If you do see a Yak-3 on the other team, you can very easily, in most cases, abuse the fact that they don't know their own rip speed. So oftentimes, if I'm in a not an advantageous situation against a Yak-3, and I have a plane that's capable of diving, I will force them into committing to a dive and where they can't pull out of. And a lot of times you get someone to rip that way. I do have 4 cannon rounds left. It's certainly not going to be enough to take out this B-26. We'll try anyway, just because he is the last guy here. And that's definitely not something you want to be doing against in the Yak-3. You don't really want to be taking out bombers. You just do not have the ammo to be taking the fight to bombers unless you're really precise and aim for basically the edges of wingtips. You don't really want to be taking on bombers in this. This is mostly strictly a fighter for fighting fighters, not so much an interceptor. So let's get into the next game and see what we can do. Alright, welcome back into the next game here in the Yak-3. Last game was pretty uneventful, honestly. Lots of bombers, lots of attackers. I usually like to keep those for the end or for my other teammates. I really get my joy out of War Thunder and fighting fighters in fighters. Occasionally I'll like to do the oddball thing. I am quite fond of the P-61, just kind of over the years I've grown to like it. But that's sort of a one-off thing. Typically in prop matches I will just do a shallow climb directly at the other team. Not so much a specific degree or anything. I just like to keep my speed a little bit higher to allow me to have that option of having more speed and not needing to first convert it into energy. So sometimes you'll see people do a full-out climb. There you go. There's a full-out climb in the Yak-3. Oh, maybe not full-out, but pretty close. I prefer to keep a little bit of speed and allow myself to either close quickly if I want to, or extend away and have the option to do that without needing to dive out. Another small map here, I guess. I'm a little bit too used to top tier jets right now, so I'm still re-familiarizing myself with the speed enclosures that were once like the back of my hand, but no longer are. Like I said, the Yak-3 sort of lends itself well to the current meta of prop games. You don't really have the long, drawn-out matches that you used to have. I mean, games that in props nowadays are, 10, 15 minutes max. We do have a few Yak-3s over there. Kind of have to respect those two. because I am in the same plane, so I have the same weaknesses as them, and two of them at the same time is not ideal. VB, P38, P51 low there, F4U low, and the P51 here. They look like they're going for my 217 at this point, so I can actually turn and be aggressive here, either diving to their low teammates or going after them directly. I'm going to choose to go after them directly. They seem both very fixated on that 217, and I don't see anyone else in my way here stopping me. I'm going to keep my nose level for as long as I can to keep my speed up, and then I will pitch in and see if I can slot on their 6 here. I'll take his wing off and then drop flaps to try to slot onto his teammate's 6 here. I am on his 6, nose down just to pick up a little bit of speed. Pop the flaps here and there. We get a hit on him. I'm going to drop the flaps for a brief second, check my 6, and I'm going to go up into the vertical to follow his climb here. Drop the flaps. Crit, and he looks like he's going down. Check my 6, I look good, and we're going to loop over on top of this VB and P38 here. He went down. I think the other Yak-3 is still falling. I'm not going to, yeah, here I am. I'm going to slot onto the VB6 here. See the P38 kind of looping behind me. He's not looking around him at all, so I'm just going to excuse my aim here, jeez. I'm going to take him down and sort of stay out of the way of his guns here. He does have a lot of guns, and I don't care to get picked off by them. I'm going to go into a slight dive to deal with the P38 at this point. I don't see too many other fighters at high altitude. I've got my Yak-3 above me there, and I'm just going to nose down. I can close this gap pretty quick. I'm doing almost 600 kilometers an hour, and this P38 is just getting out of his stall climb here. I'm going to pull a few shots on him there, and I'm going to go into the vertical, just going over his nose. He doesn't have the speed to pull into me, and I'm going to slot onto his 6 again here. Drop the throttle just a tad, pull in a little faster, lob some rounds at him. There goes his wingtip, and we're looking good. Quick 4 kills, and we're going to start diving onto the low guys here. Actually, I'm going to change targets on the P51. I saw that the F4U was going down. I did see one going back to their airfield earlier, so we will keep an eye on that. But for now, we'll just close on this P51. Push the head on if you'll take it. I don't like when people do the whole half head-on nonsense there, so I'm not going to wait for him to pull in at the last second. I'm just going to initiate a loop, 0 throttle, trying to get onto his 6 as quick as I can before my teammates close. A little bit of throttle, blip the flaps there. He's probably going to die at this point. Go ahead and want that J21. Yeah, there he goes. That's okay. We will head to their airfield and see if we can catch another fighter here. I think I saw maybe 1 or 2 go to land. I have been a little bit fortunate here in the last couple games getting cold maps. That's really where the Yak-3 shines. It will overheat on 100% throttle. I do not use mech on Russian planes pretty much as a whole, and sometimes you will have to lay off the 100% or WEP throttle on Yaks just because they do get a little toasty. I have the P51 over there. He's got an altitude and probably an overall energy advantage, so I'm going to give him my 6 here, invite him to dive on me, and just try to force an overshoot. He doesn't look like he's going to take the bait, so I'm going to slowly try to climb up to him. We're at relatively low altitude, and he is fairly slow, so if I can manage to helicopter up to him here, I might be able to get a few rounds on him. I'm about halfway done on my ammo, plenty of fuel, and we're just going to start initiating this slow lag pursuit here. A little bit steeper because I do notice he is fairly slow in his climb here. And again, that's where it comes into play, keeping your speed, because now if I catch him, which it looks like I will, he's going to be low on speed and he's not going to be able to really maneuver. So he's going to invert now. very, very slow. If he had actually committed to inverting there, probably would have dove out, but he didn't, so we're just going to stick onto his 6 here. I'll lob a few machine gun rounds his way, and he's going to climb back up. I don't know if he even saw me. We're going to set him on fire. And just a couple more rounds. Sorry, Snubby, but that was my kill. We're going to head towards their airfield again, because I think, let's see, there might be 1 or 2 more fighters to deal with. I'm a little low on ammo now, so I have to be a little bit conservative when I'm shooting. I don't have the best aim with this anymore. I do like to stick with bursts, even when my aim is good, just out of habit. So I usually just click, 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 and that's what I do to shoot in the Yak. In Russian planes in general, I usually stick to that, just because they don't have a ton of ammo across the board. Unless you're in a 185, then you probably have tons of ammo. He's very slow. I'm going to cut back on my throttle here, and I'm going to push ahead on with him. He's probably going to pull up at the last second here. 1 round, I missed, but he has bombs on his wingtips. I'm not super worried. I'm actually too fast, so I'm going to 0 throttle him and just loop over and slot onto his 6 here. It's a little sad to see, you know, prop ARB the way it is nowadays. It used to be, he's going to try to get me with his bombs. That's okay. And he pulls up, so I'm going to slot onto his 6 here. You have to be fairly accurate. There's 1. I'm going to loop on over, checking my 6 again. Flaps for a second. And right to the cockpit. We have plenty of rounds. The F6F is actually something that is going to be a little bit of a challenge if I have low speed, because the F6F does turn fairly well. It will blow a lot of energy to turn hard, and that's sort of a counter to the Yak-3, which doesn't necessarily lose energy well. It's kind of counterintuitive. You might want a plane that loses energy and turns well, as opposed to one that keeps it, maintains it, and doesn't quite turn as hard. I might let this play out just because I don't have the ammo to really do anything. However, if he is going to give me a free kill, I will take that. Drop the flaps. 1 hit, and I'm just going to nose up and over to get out of my friendly's guns there. Again, it is kind of sad to see, you know, people loading bombs and P-51s and that sort of thing. And that's sort of the grind fest mentality you see at these BRs. Anyway, it is still fun to fly at the Yak-3 and props in general. So let me know if you enjoyed seeing me fly props. I definitely enjoy it and can do more of it. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one.